Community Matters, solutions to local issues and discussions with leaders who are making a positive difference. From your encouraging Spirit FM, here's your host, Seth Mila.
Every once in a while, opportunities drop into our lap from the most unexpected places. Sometimes amazing opportunities come to us from, well, basically some of the toughest times that we've had in our lives. I've always found that through the difficult times, God has a tendency to say, hey, look, you've got more strength than you thought you had, and now you're paying attention. I got a path for you to follow. And so I had recently a wonderful opportunity to talk to some people that put together an organization that is near and dear to my heart. If you've listened to the morning show that I do with Jess for any length of time, you know that I'm kind of fond of cars. I kind of got this thing about cars, and I've loved cars for, since I was 12 years old, hanging out with my older brother and his cars. There's something about hearing the rumble of a big gas-powered V8 and smelling the nasty exhaust that just reminds me of my childhood. So here in the Lynchburg area, there's a wonderful organization called Cars and Coffee. If you happen to be a petrol head, if you will, you know that Cars and Coffee is an organization, or it's a gathering of car people and car-minded individuals, not just in our area, not just in the United States, but all over the world. And so we have the honor of having a chance to talk to Michelle Beckham, who is the founder of the Cars and Coffee for Lynchburg. Michelle, thank you so very much for taking some time out of your day. Stop by, talk to us, and let us know what's going on in your world.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I too, like you, am a petrol head. I've been a petrol head for many, many years, thanks to my dad and some of my stepdads involved in my life. So I do appreciate it. Thank you.
So how did you get involved in cars? It's one of those things that I have found that either you absolutely love cars, you want to talk about cars, you want to go to all, motorsports events, or it's like, just take me to the grocery store and bring it back and I really don't care. How did you get involved in cars? What was it, what's the story behind why it's in your blood?
Well, like I said, I was raised with my dad who had motorcycles. He had cars. He was, restoring cars. If it was like a Chevelle or a Camaro, he's always been a Chevy guy. So, it was just something that, came natural to me being around him all the time, growing up. And then, of course, my parents unfortunately divorced at a very young age for myself. And, I had stepdads who were involved in cars. My first stepdad was an auto mechanic. My second stepdad was in the body shop industry. So I was always subjected to cars or motorcycles or speed or fast. I mean, my dad had me at Summit Point Raceway as a kid. Growing up, I would love the sound of the roaring engines, as you said, and the smell of the fuel. And it's those childhood scents that take you back. And, for me as a girl, which is a little, unusual, but I gravitated to that. And that was near and dear to my heart. So that's what kind of led me into this industry. And I've worked in the motorsport industry myself as well. And it every time I'm at the track, it's like an adrenaline rush. And I'm attracted to that adrenaline rush. And every time I get on the back of a bike or I'm in a loud roaring engine car or at the drag strip, and my kids race motocross. It's just a feel-good feel for me. So that's kind of my story.
It's one of those things that if you understand it, you totally get it. And if you don't, you just kind of scratch your head and go, I don't understand what the appeal is. I had the opportunity to go up to Dominion Raceway and take my personal car on the road track up there and just run it as hard as I possibly could. And it was one of the best days of my life, just being able to take a car. And, not an official race. You have to, there's so many rules and regs, for safety, et cetera. But it was so exciting. There's just nothing like, there's just like nothing like speed. There really isn't. It's just one of those absolutely fun things. And that's why I love the organization of getting together with other like-minded car people and just talking about cars and looking at cars, because every car has a story about where did it come from and How did you obtain it? What have you done to it? It's an opportunity for people to start talking to each other, and not about politics, not about religion, not about all the things that have a tendency, money and so forth, that have a tendency to put a divider between us. But it's something that people from all walks of life have a common ground. Is that what you have found as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the one blessing of Cars and Coffee that really, speaks to me, because when we started out, people think, oh, well, there's these car groups and these guys, and, you think that it's a closed-minded industry, and, you have these groups and clusters and niches. But the reality is that as if you come to Cars and Coffee, as you've seen, there's all walks of life, like you said, and there's everyone from women and men and young men, and it starts from childhood and comes on up, and it just builds the bridge between, like you said, the divide and the gaps and everything that's going on nowadays. And it's just a pleasant, atmosphere to be talking about stuff that's passion-minded. It takes you away from all the argumentative stuff that's going on, all the governmental stuff and politics and everything else going on that's, creating chaos in this world. The one thing you can come together with from every age, every group, and, whether you're male or female or young or old, it builds that gap and that bridge and allows people to come together and actually talk about things that are pleasant. And, like you said, talking about where something started. In every car, every bike, every truck, anything that moves, it has a story with someone. And the good thing is it brings the new and the old together too. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter where you started or what you're riding or what you're driving. There's just a synergy there, and it's a great warm feeling.
So let's actually talk about the event itself. How often does it happen, and where here in our area does it happen? Okay, well, we try at least to do it twice a month, every 2 weeks on Saturday. We currently host it at Timberlake Station on Timberlake Road, which is 7621 Timberlake Road, right where the Harbor Freight and Central Virginia Flooring are. So, but we're a little to the left. We are staying over there because they're doing some renovations there, which are absolutely fabulous, but they've been great hosts to us. We have just actually collabed with Berglund Luxury on 221, which is the BMW dealership. And we now have decided that every other event we are going to test out and see if we can collab with them and bring some Cars and Coffee over to the Forest side. And then, the other event will take place back at the original location. Well, you mentioned that it's happening there at Berglund. And so that's the next question that I want to address is, okay, in order to be, to show up and be a participant, do you have to be driving something like a McLaren or an Aston Martin? Or what cars are allowed to show up and what cars are like, hold on, that's not part of who we are? What, is there a division? Or is it like, yeah, just come on? Absolutely not. There's no divide here. That's the purpose of Cars and Coffee. Whether you're, again, young or old, starting out, whether it's a car you just bought off the lot. We've had C8s show up that were brand new right off the lot. We have cars that, people have built with their bare hands, from the ground up. So, we even have new cars, the younger guys with the tuners. We've had the squatted trucks. We even encourage motorcycles. I would actually like to encourage motorcycles more often, because I think they get the idea that because it's stereotypically said Cars and Coffee, that that's all that can come. But honestly, we're open to anything. There is no classification. There is no rule, so to speak, for what can show up. It's, again, new or old, whatever. That's just how that works. So everybody gets together in this big parking lot. You park and you kind of, you're showing your car, right? You're standing there. Is there a fee for being a participant, or is it just like, no, come on, everybody's welcome? No fee whatsoever. This is a free event. It's not your standard car show. It's, you're not getting a number. You're not being put in a certain place. You're not being parked in certain, groups or genres of any kind. You're literally just showing up. Everybody is equal in my eyes. I think,
it's just literally networking and socializing and passing off stories and again, the passion behind it and just bringing people together. So that's what we try to encourage.
And Cars and Coffee is it's an organization that, like I was mentioning earlier, literally is worldwide. How did you come about organizing it and doing a Cars and Coffee thing? What was the process that you had to go through to get this organized? Because it's not like you can just, talk to a bunch of friends and go, hey, let's all get our cars together and go park in a parking lot. There's so many things that, you got to get permission to do this, and then there's organizing. And so how did all that come about?
Honestly, right after my dad passed away, he was diagnosed with a terminal cancer. He was in stage 4 at the time he was diagnosed. So my dad and I always watched Motor Trend together. In fact, the last time I got to spend with him, the entire day we watched Motor Trend all day. And, again, he was a car guy. So I just kind of had to do something to kind of keep his memory alive. And Cars and Coffee was kind of something dear to me. Some friends of mine actually run the world's biggest car show right now on the West Coast, and it's South OC Cars and Coffee. And those guys are friends of mine. They've been friends of mine through the motorsport industry when I was doing team wear and promo wear for professional race teams in both the IMSA circuit and Pirelli World Challenge and beyond. I did some stuff kind of with literally everyone in the motorsport industry and series, including AMA, or now Moto America. And these guys have been friends of mine for a very long time, and they started a Cars and Coffee. So their Cars and Coffee is now, like I said, it is known as the world's largest car show. I think on average, they average about 3,000 cars every week, and they do theirs every Saturday.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. Of course, they're in California, so
Sure.
they have the luxury of the weather and the celebrities
Right.
and the good stuff. They've had actually many TV shows actually film at their events. So got to pick in their brain a little bit about it, and they gave me some good inside tips. Obviously, I knew I'd never excel to their level over here on the East Coast, but in my efforts, I'm trying.
Sure.
So, but we live in a much rural area than it. It probably could be bigger if we were in a bigger city, but that's okay. I'm good with the crowd that we have, and it's growing continually all the time. But basically, it's just like starting a business, which I'm very acclimated with because pretty much all my life I ran my businesses or my husband's businesses of some sort. So basically, it's you just kind of. I just brainstormed one night, and I'm like, okay, I got to put this thing together because this is for my dad, and this means so much to me. So, sorry, I'm getting a little teary-eyed. So I just, went through the process and procedures of applying for a business license, a business EIN, put myself in with the State Corporation Commission, all the good business stuff,
Right.
and got an. Found a location, contacted the owner of the location, basically explained to them what I was doing. I do try to do charitable tie-ins as often as possible. I've given back to Gleaning for the World. I've done some stuff with a local event for autism, puzzled events, and do stuff for them. I've done some things for other people, like there's a Bedford Boys little museum out in Bedford. I've donated money back to them and raised money for them as well to keep that little museum going, just to give them a little influx of cash because they're doing it on their own.
Right.
And usually if I find local events or someone in local need, I can typically get together a pool, and these guys are in this car industry are really great for giving back. So I try to find those things and pull people together and give out to the greater community. And I really encourage shopping locally too. So that's kind of the gist of Cars and Coffee. I just sort of put it together with the help of the guys from South OC Cars and Coffee, and they really gave me some great inside tips. And then I just kind of hit the ground running when I got back from a July 4th vacation after my dad had passed, and put it all together and said, I'm going to do this. And that's what I've done. And it's been pretty successful thus far. So,
well, I have always found that an individual that sees a need, sees an opportunity, and then does everything they can to make it, and to fulfill it, there's usually some blessings that roll in one way or another, and I don't think things happen coincidentally. I used to believe in coincidences a long time ago, and then just some really significant things have happened in my life where I can see that God's hand was in just about everything, if not completely everything. So, Michelle, I think there's I don't think there's any happenstance here of you getting involved and doing stuff like this, especially to, just to commemorate and keep the memory of your dad going. I think there's some real reasons for that, and I think it's to be commended. How can we get more information about Cars and Coffee? Maybe a schedule of the events, or there may be some people out there who are like, you know what, I want to do this too. I want to get involved. I want to help in some way. I'm sure you could. You'd be okay to getting some assistance and some help here and there, I'm sure. How do we get some information?
Sure. So I have a website, and it's it's www.carsandcoffeelynchburg.com, or you can even put in the abbreviation of Lynchburg, which is carsandcoffeelyh.com. Either one will work. We also are on Facebook. We post our events on Facebook, and that is Cars and Coffee Lynchburg. We have a group, which is more of like your blog area that people post things. I have my sponsors be able to post things. People talk amongst the car community over there. So that is Cars and Coffee Lynchburg group. And then on Instagram, we also have it's Cars and Coffee LYH.
All right.
So that is the methods of our madness. And you can get our schedule both on Facebook and through the website.
Michelle, again, thank you for taking some time and talking to us this morning. It is it's inspiring what you're doing, and I wish you all the best and all blessings. And again, thank you very, very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
If there's a topic you'd like to hear discussed on Community Matters, please send an email to seth@spiritfm.com. Thank you for listening to Community Matters on your encouraging Spirit FM.